Hey guys, it's Mr. Mize. I'm going to take you just on a brief little lecture on some of the main characters in Romeo and Juliet that we get to meet in the opening scene. So this is the piece of paper that you're going to want, your little character tracking chart. So make sure you have that as we go through this. On the screen, you're just looking at an image from the 1996 version of Romeo and Juliet done by a guy named Baz Luhrmann, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. I just want to take you guys real quick on a quick film history of Romeo and Juliet, because it's a film that continues to be made, or a play that continues to be made into film again and again and again. So here's one that came out in '96, but it goes all the way back to the 1960s with a film by a director named Franco Zeffirelli, who this film won Academy Awards. It's considered to be the best Shakespeare film ever created for the cinema. Here's some of the images of Romeo and Juliet from that film. It's a huge, huge box office hit. Romeo and Juliet has also been adapted into a play called West Side Story, and this is one that you might be familiar with, but rather than opposing houses, the Capulets and Montagues, you have opposing gangs in New York. Also a very, very popular, very well-known play, and continues to be produced all around in different theaters all over the place. As I mentioned, here's a 1996 version of Romeo and Juliet starring Leonardo DiCaprio, and Claire Danes also did very well in the box office. Oh, look at them. They're so pretty. And there they are again. Oh, yes, yes, love, 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 love. And then it's also been made into a garden gnome movie called Romeo and Juliet, which I'd be willing to wager that some of you have actually seen this. Again, this film for kids would not exist without William Shakespeare, which is crazy when you think about it. This came out a couple years ago, another film released to the theaters, Romeo and Juliet. It didn't do quite as well as the others, but there it is. The point is that these films continue to be made. Oh, and there they are. So cute. So here's actually, this is the film version that we're going to be watching the majority of in class, and this is the director's name, Baz Luhrmann. Baz Luhrmann also did a very popular film called Moulin Rouge, starring Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman. And even as you look at these two kind of works next to each other, if you watch these two films side by side, they're very similar. And it's really interesting. I mean, even the layout of the movie posters, you can kind of tell that they are similar, and they focus a lot on the same themes, kind of this love that just cannot be, and the recklessness that comes from that. So I'm going to take you through a couple of characters, so grab your character sheet. So we're going to start with the character of Benvolio, and so he's actually at the top of your list. And so on your chart, you'll see like a little box here, and then a much bigger box there. So the stuff where it says nephew to Montague, Romeo's cousin, I want you guys to write that in the little box. These are just how he relates to other characters within this story. But Benvolio's got a lot of characteristics himself. So one thing that you need to know about Benvolio is he's a peacekeeper. He's not afraid to fight, but he's trying to maintain peace between the two warring houses, the Montagues and the Capulets. Although he is a Montague, he doesn't want to fight. Especially now in the first act, we see why he doesn't want to fight the Capulets, because it will mean the death of his uncle, and also the death of Lord Capulet. Benvolio throughout the play, he's like the messenger in Antigone, or even the chorus, where they give a bunch of back history or feedback. Benvolio is also the play-by-play guy. So after an event happens and he has to tell somebody, it's always Benvolio kind of telling Lord Montague or others what happened in the story. And so that's one of his role. He gives kind of the play-by-play of events after they happen. This is definitely a quote I would recommend getting down. It just kind of characterizes Benvolio, again, as the peacekeeper. He's trying to maintain peace for the sake of his own family. And obviously a peace sign would be a good symbol to represent him, because that's really like a big part of his character. The other character has one of the coolest nicknames. His name is Tybalt, and he's considered to be, his nickname is the Prince of Cats. And so some of his characteristics, like Benvolio, he is also a nephew to Lord and Lady Capulet, and he's also Juliet's cousin. Now, we haven't met Juliet yet. We actually get to meet Benvolio and Tybalt and some of the other members of the house of Capulet and Montague before we even get to the main characters. As far as Tybalt goes, he's got a fiery temper. He's quarrelsome. We kind of see that in the film and in the play production that we watched a little bit in class. He's not afraid to fight. In fact, it's not that he just isn't. He's not just not afraid to fight. He really enjoys fight. He's good at it, and he's a skilled duelist. And so he's practiced his sword play, and he knows what he's doing. And he doesn't just dislike the Montagues; he despises them. In fact, in the opening scene, he says that he hates them, all of them. And again, just to illustrate the degree of his hate. Peace, I hate the word, as I hate hell, all Montagues and thee. So he hates the Montagues just as much as he hates hell. Pretty intense. These are strong words coming from Tybalt. We meet Lord and Lady Montague in the opening scene. They show up during this third civil brawl that's happening in the streets. So what we need to know about them, Lord and Lady Montague obviously are Romeo's parents. They're wealthy. They're leaders of one of the houses with dignity. We read the word dignity in the prologue. They genuinely care and worry about Romeo. They know that at the beginning of the play he's heartbroken, but they don't know why. And they're worried about more fighting between the two houses, since obviously it will be Lord Montague's head if more fighting breaks out. And so that's Lord and Lady Capulet. Lord Capulet, here he is. You're looking at a picture of the actor that plays Lord Capulet in the Baz Luhrmann film, and also the play production that we watched a little bit in class. So what do we need to know about Lord Capulet? He's Juliet's dad, Tybalt's uncle. And one thing that's important to understand from the get-go is that Lord Capulet genuinely cares for his daughter. Though he doesn't always show it successfully, that's one thing that parents will often struggle with. He really does care and love his daughter, and he wants what's best for her. The nice thing for Juliet that we learn as we continue to read the play is he actually wants her to have a say in who she'll marry. However, sometimes he feels it's kind of necessary to step in and make decisions for her. But we'll see this where he actually is open. He wants Juliet to have an opinion as far as who she wants to marry, which girls, I would think you would hope that your dad would want the same thing. I mean, obviously, we still do arranged marriages and that kind of thing. But as a character, Lord Capulet, as a father, Lord Capulet wants to bring his daughter into that discussion as far as who she's going to marry. And she's still young. And then we saw the prince. He comes in. It's important to know that the Prince Aeschylus is his full name, but he usually just goes by Prince, not the artist formerly known as Prince, the guitar player and singer. But the Prince Aeschylus, he's related to a character named Mercutio, my favorite character in the play. And he's also, we learn later on, he's also related to this character named Paris. Now, you haven't met Paris yet. You will. But it's important to keep those two connected. Some of the characteristics of Prince Aeschylus, he's like the mayor and the police chief all in one. He keeps Verona in order. This is why when he shows up at the very beginning, he's so angry, because this brawling isn't just happening between the two families in the privacy of their homes. It's happening in public. And so as a result, the entire public gets disturbed. People that aren't even involved in these families are getting, kind of brought into these brawls or hurt, and, the public space is being damaged because of this fighting. So his job is to make sure that all of that ends. And so we know that in the first scene, he's threatening not to just to stop the fighting, but to kill Lord and Captain Lord Montague. That's how serious it is to him to keep the peace, because this thing keeps happening again and again and again. And we will end with Paris. And a couple things to know about Paris. He is related to the prince, as we just saw. He's also interested in Juliet. Juliet doesn't know this yet, but she will soon. And he's actually preferred by Capulet. He's like the guy. In terms of the bachelor, he is like the bachelor, the one that all the ladies would be happy to be with. He's nice, and he's also the most eligible bachelor in the entire city of Verona. And we'll get to Lady Capulet and the nurse a little bit later on. So those are just a quick intro on some of the main characters from Romeo and Juliet. And just get all that stuff down on your character charts. And I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.